Well, I had this happen to me about 13 years ago when we first moved into our new home. The couple who had sold us the house were the ones who had built it, and they were planning on moving to Florida to be closer to their kids and grandkids. We loved the house right off the bat. Not only was it located in the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina, but it was also very quiet there. All the homes in that neighborhood had at least 1 acre property, so all the houses were fairly spread out. There were only 2 other homes on the dead-end street where our house was located. The previous couple who had lived there had left behind their couch, which was a hide-a-bed, and their regular 28-inch screen TV. There was a couple of other items left in the house as well. When we got there with our first load, we had started unloading our stuff right away. Since we had one more load at the other house, my parents and fiance at the time planned on going back that same day, which meant leaving me at the new house alone with the animals for the night. It happened to be Halloween night when I was there alone. The house was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and I was in the living room laying on the couch. My head was against the arm of the couch so I could be able to watch the TV that was located a few feet from where my feet would be. I had planned to watch the movie Halloween since it was on that night. I had my phone on a TV tray next to my head so I could easily reach it if my family had called. During a commercial, I had gotten up to go get my hot cocoa that was in the microwave. The way I had to get to the kitchen was to stand up and walk past the TV set and go around the corner into the kitchen. From the time to get up to get the cocoa and back into the living room would only take about 15 seconds tops. When I came back, my phone was off the charger and on the ground about 8 to 10 feet away from where I had left it. I know that I didn't knock it off because I would have felt it, and I certainly would have heard it fall onto the hardwood floors that we had at the time. The animals also didn't do it, because any dog owner knows that you could hear their claws on the wood floors as well. We did have a cat, but she never left her spot on the couch. Like I said, I was only gone about 15 seconds, so there was no way the cat could have knocked it off hard enough to make it go off the charger and go flying onto the ground that far away, then get back to her spot and lay exactly how I left her. I don't know how else to explain it. I was home alone with the animals, and with it being the first night in the house, I just brushed it off and went back to watching the movie. A short while later, I saw a shadow move out of the corner of my eye. When I turned to look, I saw an older gentleman walking towards the back porch door. As he was going past me, he looked right at me for what felt like minutes, but really was only a few moments. I was frozen and couldn't believe what I just saw. The 2 dogs that we had were standing with their fur standing up on their backs. They were facing towards where I had just seen the guy. I quickly got up and ran to the back door and looked out onto the porch and saw nothing. Nothing else happened that night. When my parents and fiance at the time came back the next night, I told them what had happened. My fiance thought I was just tired and had dreamed the whole thing. After that, only minor things would happen on occasion. We would hear odd sounds, or our phones would be moved, things like that. Then, when my parents decided to turn the 2 smaller bedrooms and bath into the master bedroom and bath. That's when things started to change more. We could hear footsteps in the attic, and when we would go check, it would be empty. The only way into the attic would be to pull down the staircase between the kitchen and the original master bedroom. We had the house checked to make sure no animals could get into the house, so we ruled that out. The footsteps would never be during a certain time of day. They could happen any time, and we never knew when they would happen. Then suddenly we started smelling cigar smoke. My fiance at the time was the only one who smoked, but he only smoked cigarettes outside and never touched cigars. At first, we thought it may be coming from outside when one of our neighbors was smoking, since at the time we didn't really know them. When we looked outside to see if anyone was out there, we noticed that they wouldn't even be home, so there was no way it could have been them. We just couldn't figure out where the smell was coming from. One time, my mother had gone down into the basement to get a box to unpack when she started feeling like she was being watched. She was home alone at the time, since everyone else had worked. And the basement was only half finished, and the only way to get into the basement was to enter the door that was located underneath the porch. It used to be the previous husband's workshop, and he had spent most of his time working on little projects. My mother looked around, trying to see if she could see anything or anyone with her. Then she saw it. Standing at the old workbench was a man. He wasn't moving at all, and was just standing there looking at her with a confused look on his face, almost like he was wondering why she was down there. She ran to the door, and as she looked back, he was completely gone. She never went back down there alone. I moved out a few years later, and I haven't experienced anything like that in my new place. My parents still could hear noises, but haven't seen the guy since. We couldn't figure out who the gentleman was, or if it was him doing the noises around the house. I go for a visit every so often, and I gotten used to the noises. It's almost like the guy just wants us to know that he's there and just wants to be heard. Maybe someday we'll find out who he is, so we can have a name for him. Thank you for listening, and if you really like this story, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to share, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.